How's everybody? It's okay if we take off our masks? Of course. Is that okay?
After I did already, sir. That's the nice one. He asks for. Yeah.
So has anybody heard of a show called Degrassi? Because I'm a Euphoria fan, so. Actually, I've never watched it. I've just been hearing a lot about it lately. Thank you so much, guys. I'm Pat Mastroianni, Stacy Mistician, and Amanda Steptoe. You may know us as Joey, Caitlin, and Spike. And if it's okay, we're just going to hang out for a few minutes, 45 minutes or so, and we really, really depend on your questions to keep us going and to keep us motivated. So please, if you have a question, just throw up your hand. We'd love to answer them. Today marks the 5th year that we created something called the Degrassi Tour, where our first appearance together as a group was here at Toronto Comic-Con in 2017. That might have felt like 30 years ago these days with COVID, but we're happy to be back, especially now that things are opening up again. And obviously Toronto is our home base. This is where we're from. This is where Degrassi was filmed, and we're very, very proud of that fact. And we're just so grateful that all of you have chosen to come today to Toronto Comic-Con and join us for this little chat and this little celebration of Degrassi and everything to do with Canadian pop culture, what it's like to grow up as a Canadian in the 80s and 90s. And for some of you,
much fun.
You didn't even grow up in that era, but you still can relate to the show and enjoy it for what it is.
Hands up if your parents made you watch.
There's
always a few. We're sorry about that.
Does anybody have a quick question? Just to get the ball rolling? It's always people are shy at the beginning. Yes, sir.
This one might actually go a little deep, because obviously back in the 80s you guys dealt with a lot of sensitive topics, like teenage pregnancy, suicide. We can go through the whole list, but was there any time where individuals took your guys' message the wrong way and wanted to get you guys canceled rather than praise what you guys were raising awareness for?
Okay, so for me personally, there was no, I don't think there's any specific episode I was in. Maybe the homosexuality one, because I know that was a very controversial one, especially back in that time, which it shouldn't have been. But I do know for, so Michelle's character in BLT, the dating, the interracial dating, they got a lot of disgusting hate mail over that one. The producers did, which is crazy. I think like a pastor wrote in and condemned them for airing a show like that with such content. So it really did press a lot of buttons. A lot of the episodes, we were protected from the fan mail. Like they always read the fan mail for us, so we didn't always get to see what the feedback was. But I did hear, especially about that one. That was like that one caused a lot of controversy, unfortunately. Anyone else think?
Yeah, I think the episode actually where my character becomes pregnant, that was banned in the BBC. So my episodes were purposely removed from showing, and the video company that put out Degrassi there invited me over to the UK to do a tour to promote my episodes that were not shown on the BBC. So oftentimes for the amount of hatred you get for some of those sensitive topics, there are those individuals that applauded the show to be brave enough to bring some of those issues to the forefront. So I think the good outweighed the bad, hopefully, and continues to do so.
For sure. When people write in like that, it means you're doing something right. It means that you're bringing up a topic that needs to be discussed. The abortion episode was banned as well by the BBC. I got a lot of flack. My character got a lot of flack for swearing in School's Out. I do remember that. That was a big thing because that was also on prime time. But I think it was because it aired after a certain time that they were allowed to get away with that. But yeah, people didn't like Caitlin swearing, so. But it was appropriate for the moment. That's, I think.
In 2019, in Toronto, we had a reunion convention where we celebrated the show with 25 cast and crew and 300 fans from around the world. One of the fans came on stage, not on stage, but grabbed the microphone and mentioned how she grew up in a small town in Canada and certain things were taboo. They weren't discussed openly in school or with your parents, but you could talk to your friends about a topic such as homosexuality or an abusive relationship. It would start a dialogue because it was on the show, and she said that because it was on the show, it was okay to talk about it. And it was almost like a water cooler thing where other young people who didn't really have anyone to talk to at least had the show as an excuse to talk about that topic. And I think that was one of the things that Degrassi meant most to most of the fans that are still emotionally connected to the show all these decades later, is that it made them feel like they weren't alone. And that was kind of the mandate of the show, was to say, hey, we're not here to tell you what's right or wrong. We're not here to make your life better overnight. This is your journey, but here is someone who might be going through a similar journey and make you feel less alone in the world. And that's what a lot of the fans that we met at Palooza kept reiterating time and time again, that the show helped them through those times. So, that was a good question, man. It was really deep. Heavy. You did. Any other questions real quick?
No, it doesn't have to be real quick.
Well, no, not real quick, but I'm hoping somebody be excited to throw their hands up. Yes, sir.
This is a question for all three of you, okay?
No, just one.
You must choose.
Choose wisely.
How did you find out about the audition for Degrassi at your time, and what was the audition process for all three of you, and how did you guys get the parts for your characters?
You got 3 hours? Is that okay?
Okay, I'll go first. So are you talking about Degrassi? So I started on Kids of Degrassi Street, but for Degrassi Junior High, they already knew me from Kids of Degrassi Street, but they had us re-audition, and they'd asked us if we wanted to play a different part, a new part, and most of us did. I think everyone except John Iowanu, who had played Pete on Kids of Degrassi Street, wanted new characters. And so I actually auditioned for the character of Annie, who I don't know if she was more like the Stephanie K character. Well, no, she was like a rebellious character that only lasted like 1 or 2 episodes. Remember with the red hair and she had a beret? She didn't last very long. Anyway, I auditioned for that character because I thought she was a lot more fun and rebellious. So I got a part in the new show. I didn't get to play that part. And I actually didn't even get a character fully developed until a few episodes in. I was kind of peripheral in the very first season, and while they were actually working on creating a character for me, who was originally named Amanda before she was named Caitlin. But anyway, so that was my experience.
For mine, I went to a Etobicoke School of the Arts, and I happened to walk by the principal's office, and there's a board with flyers on it, and it was an open audition for anyone of a certain age, didn't need any acting experience or anything. It was one of those where you just have your parents take a picture of you and write in a letter. And I remember my dad saying, you can't wear your hair like that, because I used to have spiked hair, and that's the way I wanted to audition for the show. And my parents were like, you're never gonna get on TV with hair like that. Ever, don't do it. But lo and behold, I got called in for an audition, and because Spike wasn't a character at that time, I actually auditioned for Stephanie K, which seems not appropriate and probably why I didn't get the role, but I was part of the initial, what do we call it? Our troupe there. Yes, that's it. Can't think of the word. Repertoire of about 30 maybe individuals.
60, I think, at the beginning.
Something like
there was
that.
a lot of us.
When we first auditioned for the show and did workshops before they actually casted for the show, we spent 3 weeks just kind of after school with each other learning how to act, how to play a character, and we would practice. And these workshops were being held, and they only had maybe 6 characters for the full show developed at that time. It was Yik, Arthur, Joey, Stephanie K, Vula, and Annie, the one that you auditioned for. So really, all the characters were developed from those workshops and integrated into the first season of Degrassi as the show went along. So your first few episodes, it was very Stephanie K heavy, Joey heavy, Yick and Arthur heavy, and then as the series progressed, they went, oh, we're going to develop this character, we're going to develop Snake, we're going to develop, Caitlin. And they kind of took some of our personality traits that we had at the time and incorporated it into our characters. Obviously, Amanda was not a pregnant teenager, but they knew she could pull off the role. So, and I think they wanted to give it such a unique look for a young girl to be that pregnant character. Not your typical, woe is me. So I digress, but yeah, the characters were really developed as the show was being produced and filmed.
The workshops were a way for them as well to kind of figure out who they wanted for each part. So they were watching us as we were going through these workshops, all these exercises and acting training, and kind of saying, oh, I could see him as Joey, I could see her as so-and-so, or we like this person, maybe we'll write a character for them. So it was kind of a way for them at the same time to figure out who could do what.
And the other crazy thing is, and I'll be quick, is that when we started these workshops, there were maybe 80 of us, and by the end there was maybe only 50. And every week, at the end of every week, you'd get a card. And it would be like a red card saying goodbye, thank you for, or you're out. And we were like, oh my, it was like almost like a reality show. Like we really wanted to come back the next week, but nobody knew if they were going to make it all 3 weeks.
I actually forgot about that. Yeah, no, it was terrifying.
My folks still remember Seelick and I running out hand in hand with our little cards. We're in
for the next week. It was a big deal because by the end of the 3 weeks, we all really wanted to be on the show. We met some really cool people. The concept of being on a kids show felt kind of cool. It was a cool summer job, but nobody at that time could have even contemplated the legacy that would follow from those auditions. So I'm thinking about the time.
Thank you very much.
It's not a good question.
How do you think your characters would act if they were going to high school today? Or what kind of adventures would they have? I don't know.
I would not want to be a teenager today.
No, I know.
That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
It's funny though, because I feel like, okay, so when the next generation started, I feel like they were able to recycle a lot of the same topics from the original show, but it's more complicated now. I think, well, there's just different things, right? Like, first of all, there's the whole social media. That would be the biggest thing to navigate, I think, in high school right now, that I'm gonna have to deal with my kids going through. I'm going through it as an adult, just learning how to navigate social media. So that is a big one. And being in school, in high school, and dealing with that, and the pressures.
I'm stumped. I'm stumped as hell.
That question came up at Degrassi Palooza, and Darren Brown, the actor who played Dwayne, had the best answer for it. He goes, Dwayne would have been more into the cyberbullying, because physical bullying is a lot of effort. So I could see Dwayne using social media to bully his Joey and all these things. So yeah, I mean, I pride myself that our generation that grew up in the 80s and 90s was really the last generation of the analog generation, and that there'll never be another generation like ours. And we have that captured on film for future generations to see, because I couldn't fathom a young 10-year-old like your son imagining what the world would be like without the internet and social media and all that craziness. So it's a very difficult question to answer.
It adds like that extra element of that extra challenge to like everything you're going through in life. It just seems.
Do you guys remember growing up, the hardest thing was to go to school and not have the latest trendy clothing? Like you wanted the Gucci or you wanted the Roots shirt or whatever. Like those were the most pressuring things of the time. And now it's like, are people going to talk about me on social media and make me feel like a pariah? That's crazy. Sorry, didn't mean to cut.
No, you didn't.
Okay, good.
Don't do it again.
There's another question?
Yeah, I just wanted to actually make a comment. I lived in England for a year in 1989, and during that time I lived in England, we had an hour of television on ITV, and part of that hour of television was Degrassi Junior High, And I remember feeling very lucky to have that half hour of Canadian content, and it was they actually billed it as an American show. Which I thought was hilarious, knowing the history of it later, was to have that Toronto connection and feeling, missing home. It was a great experience to have that. Thank you for, your show really made a difference to a lot of people in a lot of different areas, and I just wanted to make that comment, so.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, thank you, yes.
Hi. All of you have been associated with such an iconic television show, with such iconic roles. And then when your time was up, did you have a lot of time for, if you wanted to pursue acting at adult, did you find that your roles have hindered or helped, where you like automatically be thought of as a character and not as an actor?
Personally, absolutely. Every role I went to was either Spike related or, yeah, you're too well known as Spike. So you're not, we're not looking for you for this role. So I had a really hard time. I was in a few plays, did a few small things, but ended up just giving up and decided, maybe this is not the career for me. And there's a lot of pressure associated to it. I can't remember how many times I've been told, I'm too short, I'm too fat, your nose is too big, your cheeks are too full. And I was just kind of tired of all that bullshit and I had to try something else.
I moved to LA. I seriously did finally move to LA for a bit, just to be a smaller fish in a bigger pond, because I was definitely typecast here. And I so badly wanted to play something other than like a Caitlin type role. And I think you ended up going to LA for a bit too. Ultimately, I wanted to come back here, but I felt like I had to for a bit, just to try and prove that I could do other stuff.
I was blessed. I had a lovely 30-year career doing different cameos and different roles and whatnot, but you will always be remembered for Degrassi, and that's fine. We all have our legacy, so to speak, and that's something I've embraced over the last 5 years, especially from reuniting and hanging out with these guys again after so long. It is something now where I tried to push it away. Now I embrace and I celebrate that fact. Because we are here for a short time, and we do want to, I have no kids. So Degrassi for me is like the child that I never had, and that's something that I want people to remember me for long after I'm gone. And thankfully, Degrassi is that Canadian television legacy that will be around and be remembered for hopefully decades and decades after. So, no problem.
That's a good point though too. I do just want to add that I think, it's the kind of thing that we did want to escape. It took us a while, I think, to try and escape from, or we wanted to escape from it. But I think we're all finally at a point where we can just kind of embrace it now and enjoy it for what it is, for what it was. Whereas there was a time where it was difficult to kind of get past it. Thanks for that question.
What was your favorite scene to shoot and why?
For me, it was anything with action. I feel like we were always like in the school. We were always kind of like in the same location. So anytime we got to do like a location shoot or something outside of the school, that was exciting. And when I got to climb the barbed wire fence, there was an episode where we get caught spray painting. That was like exciting for me. I was like, I get to do an action scene, it wasn't really that much action, but it was the most action Caitlin got.
I'm trying to think, when I think of Degrassi Junior High and High, I can't remember any favorite scene, more things that I was very uncomfortable doing, like kissing, right? When you're a teenager and all of a sudden I have to make out with someone that, I like as a person, but I'm not interested in, and I have people behind the camera a lot older than me watching and telling me to keep going, make the kiss longer, and wanting to shrivel up and die. But then, fast forward to Next Generation, where I had to do kissing scenes with Stefan, and you know, I'm eating a ton of really onion garlic hummus, knowing that he's gonna have to pretend that I don't have really bad breath during a kissing scene. So it's, as I got older, I liked those scenes. When I was younger, they were horrifying.
Evil.
Yes, very.
So many fun scenes, so many things to remember and look back fondly on. There's not one specific moment. School's Out for me was definitely the pinnacle of my experience on the show. Stacey and I got to spend weeks and weeks together creating a story arc that took place over a 2-hour movie. For me, that was just like, I felt like I always wanted to be in those cool 80 movies like Karate Kid and Back to the Future, and that was my, you know, movie, my Back to the Future. That was my kind of really cool experience of being on television, and for me, that was just the utmost pleasure of being in that movie. And because it blew away so many people's minds, the way that movie ended, it was just like a really cool part of Canadian television history that is just unforgettable, especially the F-bomb that this one said over here.
Pat also has a thing about being naked on the show.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I know
Anytime
that
I
he would
can.
always ask the producers if they could make him like strip down or streak in the cafeteria.
Even when I wasn't working, I would just do it. I love being naked.
It's like, oh, there's Pat again. There's some clothes on there.
Yes.
So I'm from Australia, and they showed Degrassi on the kids channel ABC, but it was after school hours. And there was nothing else like Degrassi at the time on Australian television. I was wondering, do you guys know the impact that your show had around the world, not just in Canada? Because there were people growing up in Australia, me included, that were just obsessed with the show.
You love this topic.
I love Australia. We've been wanting to go out there for so long because I do know that we have a large fan base in Australia, but I don't think it really started to hit any of us until there was a point where we started doing publicity trips as kids. And, you know, they would take us, Pat and I got to travel, you got to travel too,
Yeah.
separately because we didn't have a lot of scenes together, but we would all get to travel. And I think that was the first time, probably around like Degrassi High, is when it really started to sink in that the show was being viewed as much as it was. It still never really hit us like, we couldn't have known like that the show would live on as long as it has. I don't think any of us could have predicted that at all. But there was a time where suddenly like I had to go out the back door of a restaurant when I went to lunch with my mom because there was like a bunch of fans that were, you know, that recognized me. So there were moments where we'd be like, oh my gosh, this is weird. But in Canada, for the most part, we don't really have that celebrity status or star system. And seriously, growing up, when I was in high school and I was doing the show in the first few years, it was kind of really uncool to be on the show. And if I was on the streetcar, just like local transit, you know, I might hear someone say like, Degrassi, or something, just to see if I would turn around to see if it was me. So that wasn't, it was almost a bit embarrassing. So it was, yeah, I guess it was towards the end of the show where it started making more of an impact and starting to sink in.
And I think it's really from meeting people like yourself, right? Where as we've gotten older and we've traveled and we've meeting individuals from outside of Canada, that's when it really resonates, because you hear exactly what you just said from people all over the world, and you realize, okay, our show was really special. And it reached people in a way that is really lovely to be remembered for. So yeah, I think it's through meeting people like yourself that has opened our eyes to the impact that it's had around the world.
So thank you.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about social media, right? I mean, we've all embraced it now, and we've met so many people online who tell us daily, you know, the show made an impact in my life, and this is not that we seek and crave this validation, but it's nice to get that applause at the end of a performance when you do a play. You know, you bow and you say thank you. For decades, we didn't have that because we got critical acclaim from media, like the Toronto Sun, the Toronto Star, and Degrassi kids show for everybody to watch. Like that's what we were told, that people were watching it, but there was no social media, and we'd get the odd fan mail sent to the office once in a blue moon. So here we are, almost 35 years later, and we're still receiving that love from you guys, which is just unbelievable, and it makes us feel really, really good to know that you've carried the show with you all these years with you in a positive way. Yo. They're all at my house right now, waiting. Wouldn't that be cool? Again, social media allows us to stay in touch. Most of us are on Facebook, and some of us are more engaging than others on social media.
Or you're pointing it to me as if I'm not, because I am not.
But you're trying. But you're trying. And some of us are at different levels with social media, but yeah, it helps.
And Pat organized Degrassi Palooza recently, which was actually a reunion for a lot of us. A lot of us hadn't seen each other for 25 years since the show had ended. So that was a really special moment for a lot of us to reconnect, because everyone went their separate ways after, for the most part, and it was just like a handful of us that kept in touch long term. So yeah, that was our chance to kind of reunite.
Like some of us, I know Stacy and Amanda are buddies and have kept in touch over the years. Selak, who played Yik Yu, is my best friend. He was the best man at my wedding. I was the best man at his wedding. Some of us kept in touch, but then there are some others that really pulled back and wanted to stay away. Like, for example, the young girl who played Melanie, Sarah Ballingall, she left and never wanted anything to do with the show again, and the cast and the crew. She had a very bad experience with a fan that actually made it into the media back in the late 80s, early 90s. Arthur Kowalski, I reached out to him to see if he wanted to come and do the reunion. He had no interest. Same with Simon, who played Alexa's boyfriend. Some people are just over it and just, that was a nice moment those few years, but I'm done and I'm just not interested in revisiting. And then there's some others that are just wonderful and really are embracing the whole nostalgia of it all, because we're all now hitting 50.
I'm already there and past it.
But we all are hitting that age where we're looking back to a simpler time and not an easier time, but we were in a different headspace back then, and things can get kind of crazy. We live in a crazy world right now, so it's nice to look back when things seemed simpler.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
who are you looking at? I'm sorry.
I was looking at with the E.
Yeah.
I can't read the rest of your sheet.
It's electric circuit.
Oh.
Nice.
Nostalgia.
Yeah. So I want to start off by saying you're also iconic, and thank you for all that you do. And just, it makes me sad, and I know that you say that you were typecasted, because I love Spike so much as a character, but I wish that you got more chances, because you're also like such an amazing actress. My friend Brayden and I, who's in Edmonton and couldn't make it, talk about how your character is like, it was the first time that I've ever seen someone with that kind of aesthetic have so much so, for lack of a better word, like mature and like earnest and like kind of like the heart of the show. So anyway, besides that, like me praising you for all the amazing things that you are, we kind of have like a side joke of like we kind of create our own lore for the show. So we kind of have this idea that the character of Emma is actually the villain of Degrassi Next Generation. All like Miriam's iconic, also a great actor, but Emma herself, we like kind of start her lore as being like Egbert, like in Degrassi Junior High, like that was eventually going to be Emma. So with that information in mind, how does it feel to have portrayed like a really good mom who tried her best to a villainous character?
So hypothetical.
Loaded question. Yep.
I would see motherhood as being trying to get her to change her ways, and there would be those moments where I would reach out to her and she would drop her villainous facade for that brief moment. So you think that she's done that 180 shift, but then breaks my heart over and over as she returns to her villainous ways.
Thank you for entertaining that idea.
She blames it all on Shane.
What's his name again?
Was Shane, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't even remember half the stuff anymore.
When it came to the next generation, when you guys revisited the characters, did you guys have as much say in their lives the way that you did in the original series, and like what the story arcs would be and stuff like that?
No.
You're killing me with that question. Go ahead.
Oh, you take
I felt they ruined my character in The Next Generation. It's something that has been eating at me for years, especially when we jumped the shark with Kevin Smith. I've bitten my tongue for years about it, and at the end of the day, Yan Moore, who was our head writer for junior high and high, he even said to me, I wish I could have written for the classic characters in The Next Generation, because a lot of these young up-and-coming writers, they were great at writing for the new young cast, but they hadn't quite understood the complexity of the Spike and the Snake and the Joey and the Caitlin characters. So they kind of made us two-dimensional for the next gen. We're to the point where filler, thank you, wallpaper, a justification for calling the show Degrassi by having us there. By the end of the 5th season, I was ready to go. And Linda, the producer, said, you can come back for a 6th season. And I said, no, I don't want to. The show has its legs. The young cast are now mature enough to carry the show on their own. I've done my job, but I just don't like what they've done with my character. And then I heard that, I guess my character moved to Calgary to live with his parents or something stupid. And then they brought back my young daughter as a new character when she became old enough to be a teenager on the show. And I'm like, you missed the freaking ball. That would have been a wonderful reintroduction to the Joey Angela characters on the series. But they brought Stacy back for season 7, I think it was. No, they brought your character back to be that hussy that stole that girl's boyfriend.
Dare you?
How dare you?
Season 6, right?
No. She was innocent.
Wasn't
He's
it
talking
season
about
6?
Jesse's girl.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it was
get
season
them all
6.
wrong, but I think it was 6.
Yeah. I didn't last beyond season 6.
That was your last season?
Yeah,
Did you do the full
I'm
run?
pretty sure.
No, I think season 6. Oh, season 1, yeah. What scene was I in?
You guys know
In
more
season
than we
8?
do. I don't know.
Stacey was in season 8.
What? Jesse, because Jesse's girl was the last one, I think.
Ellie's character.
Yeah, that was season 8.
No, she was in university.
Okay,
So
they
Pat
did.
was right, we were wrong.
I'm secretly a huge fan.
But see, it's funny with Caitlin too. Like Caitlin kept taking off different places, and then they just bring her back in for like when it was ideal. My character left a few times.
Did you like the maturity of your character, though? Did you like that she became a famous journalist and
Oh, I liked
activist?
that part for sure. Like that made more sense for Caitlin. But like you said, I mean, our characters weren't fleshed out the way I would have liked. But that's because it wasn't our show. It was, we were filler essentially. So it wasn't as challenging or fun for us.
And what about your character? Did you feel fulfilled by your character's journey in terms of adulthood? And
Does this feel like a trap?
no, I'm just curious because you had, such a larger-than-life husband with Snake, Mr. Simpson. Did he do it for you?
This is getting personal.
That's right, he cheated on me.
That's right, he did cheat on you.
I guess after the first few seasons, I, like you, gathered that it's not about my character anymore, so I'm there to support. It does get disappointing when, your husband's the principal of the school, your daughter's the star. There are scenes in my house, but I'm not there. It's just kind of weird, but, it is what it is.
And you had a baby and everything. What happened to Jack?
I don't know.
What happened to baby Jack?
I don't know.
Was it Snake's or was it Joey's?
There's
So
a
many
spin-off.
things. See, there were so many ways the writers could have gone with this.
Yeah.
So many ideas lost.
It gave us a chance to come back and relive our childhood, which was wonderful. But again, the show had become so mechanical, slick, very 90210-ish, which was something we fought against so hard in junior high and high. they embraced it this time around because they wanted to make the US networks love the show that much, and Noggin in the US was just like, make it slick, make it stylized, make the actors beautiful and well dressed, and you know, all these things
That was a change from the earlier show.
You know what I mean, right? We didn't try to, we had zits on the show, you know, pimples on our faces, and they didn't cover them up. And
That's what happens when you share the same foundation with 30 young cast members.
it was very modest when we created the series in Junior High and High, and to have the next generation be so slick and polished made it feel just a little icky for me, if that makes any sense.
But I still love it in the sense that we've talked about friendships. Stacy and I weren't very close in the earlier show because we never had scenes with each other, right? And it wasn't until the next generation where we started hanging out, and now we're the best of friends. So when I think of next gen, I wouldn't have been as close to Stacy as I am today without that. So there are blessings mixed in with the ickiness.
I do not mean to disrespect Next Gen, because I know that show spoke to a generation, and Stefan Brogan, who played Snake, he says it so eloquently that every generation deserves their version of Degrassi. You know, you have Stacy where she started at the Kids of back in the late 70s, early 80s, am I correct?
Early 80s.
Early 80s, and then you Junior High and High in the 80s and 90s, and then the Next Gen, and then the Next Class, and then Degrassi by itself. I think it's been 25 plus seasons and over 700 episodes, and it is a voice for each unique decade. And each generation that grows up watching it has their version of the show. So I think Stefan is excited to see that there's a reboot for yet another generation. And what stories are they going to be able to share to that audience will be very interesting to see. Because it's a 1 hour drama, which is very unique, because Degrassi's always been a half-hour melodrama, or you know, this should be a very darker version of Degrassi, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, sir.
I know you guys had a lot of controversial topics on the episode. Was there any scenes or episodes where your parents were in disagreement and wanted to pull you off the show?
Good question.
I love that.
Mine, where I'm, my character's gonna be pregnant. Yeah, my parents weren't really happy about that. Family members weren't very happy about that. And we even shot 2 different endings to you're gonna correct me, it's late episode 6, whatever it is. We actually shot 2 different endings. One where she comes out of the clinic, I'm pregnant, and one where I'm not pregnant. And I don't think it was really known for a minute there which ending that the producers were gonna go for. Because again, there was a lot of pre-backlash to that particular storyline. So yeah, we shot 2 different endings, but that would be one where my parents were particularly not very happy about.
We refer to Degrassi as a Canadian show, but believe it or not, PBS in the States was a huge part of the show being made, and we were obligated to not only respect the CBC and Telefilm Canada that put money into the show, but also what PBS in Boston had their personal mandates for their television networks. So there was, like you said, a balance that they had to figure out. And many of our episodes did get preempted on PBS because it didn't fit their mandate.
My parents didn't care.
I begged my parents to speak up for me to the producers when they asked me to do the walking calf naked scene. And my mom thought it was the coolest, funniest thing ever. And I'm like, what, Mom? I thought you'd have my back. She's like, no. No, boy, you have to show your culo to the world. It's such a beautiful body. That was one of my most embarrassing scenes. 5 more minutes? That was a fast 45 minutes. Wow. Stacy Mistician talks a lot.
I do, sorry.
Use your chance.
Well, I got a question. I thought the Drake music video with cast of Degrassi. Were you guys ever invited, or any of the others?
Who's Drake?
Sorry, yeah, I don't know who.
They filmed it on the next generation. I was just wondering, were anybody else?
No.
No.
That was a very secretive shoot. And
Kevin Smith asked about us. He's like, why aren't Amanda, Pat, and Stacy here?
I should have been nicer to the guy on set. Damn.
I told him he was never going to make it in the business, so maybe that's why we weren't there.
No tickets for you.
No, I think he really was just focusing on the majority of the next generation cast, and of course Stefan gets in there because he's the principal.
He's Mr. Simpson, right? He really ran the whole gamut from the series.
It probably would have done a lot better if we'd been in it, but
Absolutely.
he'll know for the next one.
He was celebrating his version of Degrassi and his fellow castmates and honoring them in the only way he could, and that was by doing that really cool video. So, yeah, good for him. Next one.
Yes, sorry. You had a question as well.
Who created the Joey Jeremiah character?
Believe it or not, they did, and it was right from the beginning. They knew that he was going to be a smart-talking, smart-alecky, troublemaking guy. And so when they were casting, they were looking not for a guy to be evil and mean and rude and disrespectful. They were looking for a character that was so insecure that the audience would see right through his charade, or charade, is that a word? No. Charade, that he was pretending to be this cool know-it-all guy, but really he was just this insecure kid that wanted to be liked. And I think we can all relate to that growing up. And I think that's what they saw my ability to bring to the character, because I really was that insecure, shy kid in real life. And
But you were also really effing awesome at the role.
I was just, thank you. But I literally would show up on set and say, how would Michael J. Fox play this scene? Honestly, he was my idol, and I looked up to him and I respected him so much because he was this short little Canadian guy that was just awesome.
It's true that I really can't picture anybody else playing that role.
Stefan, who played Snake, auditioned for Joey, and I remember the workshops with him playing the lines, and Shane, who played your baby daddy. I thought Shane was going to get Joey Jeremiah because he was this good-looking and all-American guy, and I wasn't sure what they were looking for. But Linda Schuyler, the producer, when I auditioned for the original casting session, said, nope, that's our Joey, and they really kind of focused on me throughout the workshops to bring something to the character that maybe I didn't quite understand. And again, this was a development process over seasons. We all were learning how to act. Maybe not so much Stacy, because she had all that experience in junior high.
We're always learning.
But yeah, we spent years on set learning how to play our roles and how to act as the show grew as well. And they utilized that. They saw that certain actors could carry certain performances or storylines, and they would approach and say, do you feel comfortable doing a storyline like this? And the actor would be like, absolutely, I want that opportunity. Like, you would fight for the meaty roles because you wanted that. So yeah, it was fun. It was a fun, neat experience. I think if we got one more question and then we're gonna wrap it up. My lady that I've been staring at this whole time. Yes, this is just you and me, no one else. Just you and me.
Thank you, Stacey, for resolving the mystery of why the kids of Degrassi showed up with different names. Because that always bothered me. But I wanted to know, when was the last time that Remedy played together?
I swear you get asked that every time.
No, dude, that's a real thing. Degrassi, the Next Generation, we were all in the bowling alley. Snake got diagnosed with cancer, and Joey got Wheels to come and kind of speak to him, and then we were driving home in the red convertible, and we were all singing in the car. That was literally the last time we were all together, the three of us, and singing that song. And it's captured on camera forever, which, man, that song.
As soon as I read your names on the schedule, I was thinking.
All right, well, you know what, guys? Thank you so much. We appreciate you sharing this time with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're only here for a couple of more hours. You're welcome to just come by our booth and say hi. You don't necessarily have to buy an autograph picture or a selfie with us, or, we would love that, but please just come and say hi. We would love to, give you a fist pump. and be able to connect with you guys and say thank you for watching Degrassi. But hope you had a good time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.